Hello, this is Michelle Hamburger. Welcome to another Members Minute. I'm here with Dr. Connors. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about dried fruit and other natural forms of sugar and our glycemic index. We've had a number of questions come through from patients who are being told or recommended that for their cancer they should be consuming X amount of fruit or dried fruit. Specifically, dates was one of the questions that we had received, but there have been many other dried fruit questions that we've received over the months. And we are wanting to clear up a few things about some maybe misconceptions about dried fruit and its benefit or its detriment, and then also explain a little bit more about how that correlates to our glycemic index. So I'll let Dr. Connors take it from here.
Well, is fruit a better substitute for a sweet tooth person than eating a cookie with table sugar, right? Of course it is,
Yeah.
right? Well, fructose is still bad for you, so we shouldn't eat any fructose, but fruit itself has other nutrients in it. So if you're going to eat some berries, it has some good vitamins and minerals and other nutrients in it so that it makes it a whole food for you. When you dry a fruit, you do lose some of those nutrients through the heat of drying it, and you do retain all the fructose. So when you're drying a fruit, you're basically dehydrating it, and you're getting rid of the water. You're getting rid of some of the nutrients with that, but you are retaining all of the sugar. So that becomes a problem. I would much rather have you eat a whole blueberry than a dried blueberry, but it can be a substitute. Everything within reason, everything within moderation. But one of the things that we got to look at is what's called the glycemic index. So the glycemic index of a food is an index on how fast it breaks down into glucose. So and that's really what we are interested in, is because we don't want to be spiking our glucose levels when we, at any time, whether you have cancer or not. But certainly with cancer, we don't want to be spiking our glucose levels, because glucose is a feeder of cancer. And so even if you don't have an extremely glycolytic tumor, you still don't want to be spiking our glucose levels too often. So this is a chart, and you can download one of these charts. You can certainly Google it, looking at the glycemic index of different foods. Foods with a high glycemic index, one of the questions we had is somebody was told that they should eat dates because dates are good for cancer patients. Well, dates have some good minerals in it, so I don't want to take that away from it, but dates have one of the worst glycemic index of any fruit. Look at that. Crazy, huh? So cherries have the lower glycemic index. Pears, apples, because of the fiber content in it, also have a lower glycemic index. A ripe banana is up on that medium stage. Orange juice, pretty worthless because there's really not any nutrients in it, has a fairly high glycemic index, or it's starting to creep up into the medium, into the high range here. Does it mean that you can't ever eat watermelon? No, it doesn't. Does it mean you should eat watermelon every day? Maybe that would be a smart thing to stay away from. But this is a good chart to look at, and how fast things break down into glucose it helps you compare that. So looking at a glycemic index is a nice way to go for measuring your glucose sugar consumption, so you can see how fast. Here's an interesting point. Here's white potatoes right here. Breaks down into glucose faster than eating blueberries does. Interesting, huh? So use this chart. Download one, look at your glycemic index, good hints on what foods you should be eating and what foods you might want to stay away from or at least limit.
Before we end this, one of the concerns that I've had is I've heard many people talking about, well, I'm not eating the refined sugar that I was eating before, so I can switch over to some of these natural sweeteners or natural fruits and sources of sugar, and that should be fine, right? But they're not necessarily reducing the overall consumption of sugar because they're believing that it's coming from a more natural source. Like if I'm eating, dates all the time, or I'm going to be eating corn.
Just because dates are natural versus a processed white sugar, it still is going to break down to glucose. So you still have to do your math and look at, keeping that in balance, because you may not be reducing your total circulating glucose by just switching to dates versus table sugar.
Okay, well, thank you very much. See you next time.